So, what do a paralyzed dog, a disfigured young man, and you have in common? On the morning of October 15th of 2018, I made a rather unusual choice. I chose to take my brain on a mental vacation. So typically I start out my day by finding something inspiring to share with the various Facebook groups that I have. And then I proceed to prepare my standard breakfast, toast, eggs, cup of tea, followed by my shower and the general, face the day kind of routine. But this day was different, and I knew it. So recently I've become aware that I've been hopelessly consumed by my head. And you see, I have 3 large 7s in my numerology chart, and 7s are head cases. So this causes me to often become too much of a head case. And when I get stuck in my head, it's not pretty, people. And I have a lot of difficulty getting into my heart space. But today I could feel that Spirit was nudging me. And honestly, quite frankly, I'd been praying for the nudge. I was feeling really trapped inside of my head with a desperate need to connect to my heart. And that's where the best of my work comes from. So how can I possibly inspire the 11s if I'm always coming from the space between my ears? I needed an intervention, and boys, I needed it fast. So as habit would have it, after I finished my morning routine, I sat down in front of my computer and I pondered where I might get my inspiration from today. And it was then that I realized I'm not going to find that in my office. I'm not even going to find that in or on my computer. So I looked at my dog and said, "Come on, Piper, let's go. We're going to Martinique Beach." I've never been to Martinique Beach before. So why all of a sudden would I want to go to Martinique Beach? So why am I not going to where I always go, Clam Harbor Beach, or just in my own backyard for that matter? What could possibly be drawing me to Martinique Beach? And that's when the nudge from Great Spirit became more of a slap in the head. Get out of your head, girlfriend. Listen to the small voice that's telling you to go to Martinique Beach already. Fine. Damn, you guys, you're so bossy. And when I finally take the time to listen to you, it's usually a good thing. So we packed ourselves up and we got into the car. And I resisted the temptation to turn on my radio as I typically do. So I chose to have a little bit of silence instead. So somehow I knew that this gentle nudge, maybe it was a bitch slap, was causing me to travel into a state of altered awareness. And I'd been asking for inspiration, and I was pretty sure that if I listened up, I was just about to get it. So the road to the beach was very long, very windy one. It's not one that I'd been on before. And the landscape was painted in a Monet style, of gorgeous fall colors. And that beautiful smell, oh my God, that beautiful smell of the fallen leaves, it just permeated the air. I followed this silver Toyota, a little car, down the dusty driveway to the beach. And although there were only 7 different parking lots, if you can imagine, I chose to pull up alongside of this silver Toyota. And I soon noticed 2 lovely dogs in the back seat who were really eager to get out. This was clearly not their first rodeo. And as I proceeded to let my dog Piper out of the car, I struck up a conversation with the driver whose name I soon learned was Sarah. So Sarah's 2 fur children included a beautiful senior golden retriever. He's a really red one. You can see him here in this picture, and his name is Reggie. And his sidekick is a lovely white shepherd named Sammy. So as most golden retrievers do, Reggie had a one-track mind. His only purpose was to enslave someone, anyone, to throw his ball. So my dog, Piper, stood back with a somewhat baffled look on her face. I could clearly hear her saying, as she said so many times before, "Why do you feel the need to chase that ball? Sarah threw it, so she should go and get it. Don't mistake this collie for a retriever. Her purpose is to keep everyone all together. She's a herding dog. She's not a retriever. Her purpose did not include chasing perfectly good balls that someone kept throwing away." So Reggie was already running around the parking lot doing what most boy dogs do, while Piper ran around doing what all girl dogs do. Reggie pees, and then Piper sniffs, and not to be outdone by his pee, she of course has to pee right on top of his. So meanwhile, back at the car, Sarah is struggling to get Sammy out from the back seat of the car, and I soon learned that Sammy is paralyzed and will need to be hooked up to a walking cart designed for her special needs. So I stood back in amazement as Sarah carefully hitched Sammy up to her wheels. Piper, being Piper, of course, couldn't wait for Sammy to be hooked up so she could proceed to sniff her bum. That's my girl. But anyway, what quickly occurred to me is that Piper nor Reggie paid any heed to Sammy's disability. They just saw Sammy just like any other dog. And what was more interesting is that Sammy saw herself just like any other dog too. So, although I had intended to take a quiet, undistracted walk on the beach in pursuit of my desired inspiration, the one I came looking for, it quickly became really obvious to me that my journey was about to take a very different turn. So Sarah encouraged me to follow her and her fur children on this parade to a grassy path over the hill. And as I tried to keep up, I was captured by the smell of the pine needles. I love the smell of pine needles. Oh my God, I don't have enough trees around me. And I loved the beaten path. And on this beaten path, there were all kinds of deposits of gorgeous white quartz rock. So I knew that this place held a very, very special vibration. It was all I could do to keep up as Reggie and Sammy determined the pace to which I'm going to have to run. Sammy clearly did not see her limitations. The only thing she saw were her opportunities. She saw the ocean to which she ran straight for, but not before she coveted a beautiful beaten off branch from a neighboring tree, just like any other normal dog would do. And so then there was a smell that only Sammy took time to notice. So why continue to chew on this old stick when clearly you're meant to dig your way to China in pursuit of that dead thing that's buried in the water, in the sun, underneath that sun-baked sand? So I was absolutely in awe as I watched just how uncomplicated the interactions were between these three dogs. It was amazing. And they'd only known each other for a few minutes. Neither of them cared that, Sammy had a wheelchair. Piper and Reggie just waited patiently as Sarah tended to Sammy's special needs. And in their minds, a dog is a dog is a dog. No exceptions, no judgment, 100% acceptance. Wow, I couldn't help but think, what a concept. So one of the greatest challenges a Master Number 11 faces is that of understanding what his purpose is. So one of my greatest challenges is helping you guys to understand that life purpose is fluid. It moves, it shifts, and it changes with every second. So life purpose is not a destination. It's not even a certificate on the wall. God knows I chased enough of those. I used to call it certificaitis because I just had to have all these certificates that defined who I was and how accomplished I was. I gave that up, later on because I realized that was getting me absolutely nowhere in terms of defining what my purpose was. So the purpose, it's acknowledging every single moment of each day. And your purpose as an 11, as a Master Number 11, is no different than my purpose as a life path number 7 or any other life path number for that matter. Our purpose for everyone is to raise the vibration of the planet one interaction at a time. Amen. And each one of us has created a new soul's contract before we incarnated. So we chose what lessons we wanted to learn in this lifetime. We chose who we would be with, and we chose our challenges too. We sat down with some spirit guides. We made a very clear document. And the document declares who we want to be with, what our challenges are going to be, the vibration of our birth name. We chose specifically all of the numbers that we placed into our birth date. So when I pondered the journey that Sammy is on, I came to realize that even as disabled as she is, her purpose is in fact to inspire everyone in her path. So Sarah made a really good point when she said, Sammy doesn't know that she's a poor dog or that she's even disabled. And let's not tell her, shall we? And I thought that was a good point. And she said, considering her disabled is someone else's perception of her, but certainly it's not the perception that she has of herself. So there's no need to feel sorry for her because she won't benefit from your pity. So I believe that when able-bodied people meet those who have bigger challenges, dogs included, the challenges that the less able-bodied person or animal is living with is actually intended to inspire us in some way. And this is the purpose of those who are living the challenges. Let me explain this a little bit further. I remember being in a mall not that long ago, I was killing time. I had no need to be there. It was a gorgeous day. I have no idea why I was called to go into a mall on such a nice, warm, sunny day, but I was just doing a mall crawl. And spirit often takes me aimlessly into places that I have no clue why I'm being directed there. I couldn't help but notice a man walking with a severely mentally and physically challenged young adult. I don't know if it was his father or it was a caregiver, but either way, he was there helping this young man walk through the mall. And this young fella's face was majorly disfigured. I don't believe I have ever seen anyone's face as disfigured as his. And he had difficulty walking, but he showed such determination with every step he took. He just had to think, with every step he took. I'll never forget him. Did he recognize how challenged he is? Maybe, or possibly not. But be rest assured, his perception of himself is very different from your perception of him. So I believe that his purpose is to remind us of how fortunate we are to not have to suffer with his limitations. But it's also for us to honor and value his enormous life purpose and the contribution that he's making every single day. And that contribution is to inspire and to humble all of us. So just because he doesn't function the same way as we do doesn't make his life purpose any less important or any less valuable than ours. He signed up for this journey the same way that you signed up for yours, complete with all the bells, the whistles, and the challenges. So, sometimes I look at people like this and I consider people's circumstances and whatnot that are so much less than mine. They're more challenging than mine, but maybe they're doing without. Maybe they're struggling through hard times. Maybe it's a physical disability, a mental disability. Maybe it's just a financial disability. But either way, I have to consider the possibility that maybe I had that challenge in a previous lifetime, and that maybe this time it's my turn not to have that challenge, but to be blessed by those that do have that challenge. So I know it's hard to kind of wrap your head around that whole concept, but I really do believe that it's possible that we had those challenges in a previous lifetime. It's also possible that we have them in this lifetime, and if we don't, possibly we may have them in a future lifetime. So I did a reading for a woman not that long ago, and she explained to me that she has an 18-year-old son who is unable to communicate verbally. He can't walk, and he's grown up to be such a size that he required very specialized medical equipment and care that she just could not offer him at home any longer. So she suffered tremendous guilt as she turned him over to the care of a professional institution. And so I asked her what she thought his purpose was. And she looked at me really blankly and she said, his purpose? I really don't know. What possible purpose could he have given all of his disabilities? So during her reading with me, I helped the woman, the mom of the 18-year-old boy, to realize that placing him in a large professional institution is now going to allow her son to be exposed to so many more people on a daily basis who can be inspired by his spirit. He couldn't have lived out his purpose if he was isolated within his home, being cared for by his mom, who could not have managed taking him outside of their home. So now she has more time to live her life by using her life purpose, unencumbered by the extensive responsibility that she would have had towards her son had he lived at home. So make no mistake about it, we are all born with a purpose, but your purpose doesn't always come in a pretty package wrapped up with a bow. So my brother contracted flesh-eating diseases 16 years ago, and I remember being so angry at God for putting him through this horrible journey. What the heck was this all about? So many people were affected by this. His wife struggled to keep things going at home, and his kids, they suffered in his absence. But, so many others were blessed by his challenges. So many medical professionals, doctors, nurses, therapists, they all had the opportunity to learn about this disease because my brother Grant shared his broken body with them so that they could rise above their ignorance. He died 5 times that summer. He died 5 times. I had a nurse tell me, she said, I watched this man die 5 times. And each time he came back, still kicking, right? So he was inspiring people with his spirit. See, some of our greatest challenges provide the largest gifts to others. And therein lies our purpose. Your purpose could be to suffer so that others can enhance their purpose by being inspired by your struggles. Up until the day my brother Grant fell ill, his purpose was to climb that corporate ladder in pursuit of success. He just looked over his shoulder and said, "Eat my dust." His only interest was being successful, making lots of money, being on the top of his game. And his illness caused him to refocus and to discover his new purpose. He did make it after 5 times. Finally, the devil said, "I don't want you." And God wasn't ready for him either. He's a pretty big spirit. So remember what I said, that your life purpose isn't a destination. It's not a certificate or even an accolade of achievement. Your life purpose is constantly changing, morphing, and repurposing itself with every living, breathing moment. So I get it. 11s have a huge need to be absolutely sure that they're on the right path. You want to know without question what your life purpose is. After all, you signed that big-ass contract that says, "I promise to do something amazing while I'm here, but God help me because I have no idea what that is, and I am feeling like I'm running out of time." Remember, your life purpose is not your career. Your career might be guided by your purpose, that's possible, but your purpose is not your career. In order to be sure that you're living a life on purpose, you need to find out what makes you happy. What makes your heart sing? When you were a child, what did you dream of being when you grew up? And why did you give up on that dream? So here's a tip. We're all born with this internal GPS, as I call it. And when we're working in a job we hate, or we're in a relationship that we're unhappy in, the GPS sends out a warning by screaming, "Abort! Abort! You are on the wrong path. Get back on the right path." But oftentimes the 11 ignores this warning for fear of the consequences of making an unpopular decision. Here's the truth. When you're on the right path, you're happy. When you're on the wrong path, you're unhappy. Simple, right? No, not always. 11s love to live in peaceful, harmonious environments. They like to be free of stress. They don't like any drama. And how do they achieve this? Well, they often put others' needs ahead of their own. And at the expense of their own happiness, they often put on what I call the conformity mask. 11s, they tend to lose sight of who they are because they spend more time and energy keeping the peace by becoming who everyone else wants them to be. Remember, you've got this vibration, this really super high vibration that's higher than everybody else's. Okay, if the other people are not 11s and you are, you've got the higher vibration. And so you spend your life trying to navigate between that high vibration and their low vibration without totally losing sight of who you are and who you want to be and who you incarnated to be. But sometimes you can feel very isolated and very alone, and feel that you have to conform to what others expect you to be. So you put on the mask. Sometimes it's just you feel that maybe that journey is a little bit easier to put the mask on than it is trying to figure out how to navigate maintaining who you are while living in that lower vibration. Because 11s at the end of the day are 2s, life path number 2s, and the 2 needs to feel like they belong. Right? So you guys do spend a lot of time trying to figure out, how do I fit in? I don't even feel like I'm from here. How the heck do I fit in? But one thing I know to be true, one thing that remains to be true for the 11s, the purpose of the Master Number 11 is to inspire others in unique and original ways. So you guys are not meant to be better than someone else. There's no need to feel failure or even judgment for that matter, because whatever way you choose to inspire others is your way, and it can't be compared to anyone else. The double 1s imply originality, not a need to conquer someone else's achievement. So 11s need to release the need to know all of the answers. Your challenge is to understand that you know everything you need to know in this moment. You are exactly where you need to be right now, and there is no need to know anything more than what you know right now. You've got to trust. Trust and develop faith in the divine that they've always got your back at all times. So each day brings a new opportunity to make a difference. Maybe you need to drop the bar of the expectations for yourself. Let me ask you this. Would you ask your child or even your best friend to live up to the level of expectations that you expect from yourself? No, I didn't think so. So your job is to live in a conscious and mindful life. Keep your eye open for the powerful messages in everyday experiences that you're faced with each day. That's what I was losing sight of. Before I wrote this article and created this presentation, that's where I was getting a little bit lost. I had gotten inside of my head and I had pulled out of my heart, and I was missing the messages that Spirit is giving to me on a daily basis. So every obstacle and challenging personal interaction that you face is really an opportunity to learn something about you, to learn something about them. So what does this obstacle teach you about yourself? And how does this obstacle help you to see the other person in a different light? I remember, and I'm sure I've told you this before, I do remember working in a corporate job where one of the managers in the company took an instant dislike to me. He had a hate on for women in general, and I'm kind of a strong personality. So he took an instant dislike to me. But he made my life a living hell. It was horrible. He insulted me, he embarrassed me, he berated me, he just ripped pieces out of my heart. Like, it was just terrible. I would go home at night bawling my eyes out on a regular basis, until I finally turned it around and went, okay, this guy is an obstacle. He is a definite obstacle. And he was a big guy. He was a big obstacle in my way. And what I finally recognized was, you know what? This obstacle is actually my gift. He is really my best teacher, because you know what he was doing was he was teaching me that I don't have to be there. I'm better than that. And I can give up the security that I thought I had with that corporate job in favor of taking a risk and jumping into my passion, which of course is numerology. So I was going in favor of that secure paycheck rather than following my passion. And when I followed my passion, my business completely took off and I became very successful. And I'm doing what I love, and I love what I do. So sometimes these obstacles that are placed in front of you are obstacles that we need to celebrate, right? Because really, there's something that can really open your eyes to what can be. So take it from me. Stop fighting your way through life searching for the answers. Get out of your head. Strangely enough, the answers don't even come from your head. So who knew? Anyway, start watching for the subtle, yet the powerful answers that Spirit is bringing to you on a daily basis, like the random meeting of a paralyzed dog and his committed fur mom. Thanks so much, guys. I'm hoping you're having a great month, and I look forward to connecting with you next month. Take care. Bye for now.